The HOA had always been a thorn in my side, but this time they went too far. It started with a letter in the mail, thick envelope, bold red stamp across the front, violation notice. I tore it open and nearly laughed. You are hereby fined $50,000 for unauthorized construction of a dam on HOA property. HOA property? The land the dam sat on had belonged to my family for 3 generations. I had the deed, the surveys, and the tax records to prove it. The dam wasn't some random hobby project either. It was a carefully engineered structure built to manage flooding on my land. Without it, spring rains would turn the surrounding neighborhood into a swamp. So not only did the HOA have no claim, they actually benefited from it. But $50,000? That wasn't just a fine. That was a declaration of war. The next day, Karen, the HOA president, showed up at my property with 2 board members in tow. She didn't even knock, just strutted up in her designer heels, sunglasses perched on her nose, and waved the letter in my face. You have 30 days to pay this, she said smugly, or we'll begin foreclosure proceedings. I laughed out loud. Foreclosure? On land that isn't yours? You've lost your mind. Karen smirked. The HOA has authority here. You don't get to just build whatever you want. I pulled a folder from under my arm and opened it slowly, letting her see the thick stack of documents. This is the original land grant from the county, updated surveys, and tax receipts. This dam sits entirely on my property, which means you have no authority. Her smile faltered for the first time, but she doubled down. We'll see about that in court. What she didn't realize was that I had already consulted with my attorney, and I knew something the HOA didn't. The dam wasn't just holding back water, it was holding back everything. 4 years, runoff from the hills collected in a basin behind the dam. Controlled release prevented flooding, but without it, the pressure would overwhelm the neighborhood's storm drains in hours. So when they pushed me, I pushed back harder. I filed an injunction against their bogus fine. While the paperwork wound through the system, I quietly prepared for the inevitable. 30 days later, true to her word, Karen sent another letter. Pay immediately or face seizure of assets. That was my green light. I drove down to the dam, unlocked the heavy steel wheel that controlled the gates, and turned it. Slowly at first, then all the way. The water roared. Within hours, the neighborhood that sat below began to change. The manicured lawns? Gone. The pristine driveways? Flooded. Basements filled with water? Luxury cars sat half submerged. And those million-dollar homes suddenly looked like they'd been built on stilts. The HOA board called me in a panic. Karen herself screamed into the phone. You've destroyed everything. You'll pay for this. I let her rant before replying calmly. No, you fined me for building the dam. So I removed it. You wanted nature back the way it was? Congratulations. You got it. Then I hung up. The fallout was spectacular. Insurance companies got involved. Lawsuits flew left and right. But when the dust settled, the HOA had no leg to stand on. My dam was on private property, and their attempts to claim otherwise backfired spectacularly. Instead of me paying $50,000, they ended up bankrupt, facing millions in damages from their own residents. Karen? She was voted out in disgrace, her reputation shredded. And me? I rebuilt the dam stronger and better than before. Only this time I added reinforced gates and better monitoring. Now, whenever I drive past that stretch of land, I can't help but smile. Because the HOA wanted control. Instead, I gave them water. Lots and lots of water.